Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Art 196, Introduction to Designing Web Graphics for the spring semester of 2022. This morning we'll be working on lesson 9. And what that entails is that we are taking the template that we created in lesson 8, and we are beginning to add content in various ways. Okay. Some of it you will use for your own personal website, some you will not. I'm going to show you the finished pages today. And then we will get started working from the template that we created in lesson 8 and generate the content and apply the appropriate styles to it with our style sheet, our CSS style sheet. Okie doke. Also, before I do that, just a reminder for everyone to know that next week, if you're not aware, is spring break, so we will not be having any webinars. Hopefully, you guys, if you're behind, can catch up. If you want to get ahead a little bit, you can do that, or just rest. For me, it's always a work week. Get the things that I've been putting aside, I wind up doing during spring break. And I do get to rest a little bit. Anyway, so building child pages from our template. So let's look at some of the things that they have for us. I'm going to switch from just split view to live view so we can see that a little bit better. Okay, so the first page that we will build is the news page. So it's principally text that we're adding, and also to the left side, we're adding a few different quotes. So this is going to be pretty much routine, what we've done before. Adding these paragraphs and styling them is similar to what we did in the last lesson for the last part. I'm going to review that a little bit. And then on the right side, we have, again, more paragraphs, more content that we're adding. But again, notice some of the differences that when I select the one to the right, that's an H2 tag. And it is, we have designed it so that it is green. If I click this one, that's also an H2 tag. But notice this difference in the size of the fonts. So, and the same holds for the copy itself. This is a P tag, but in the right side, it's a little bit smaller. In the main content, it's a little bit bigger. So we can control all those things, and as we did with the quotes as well, the block quotes. In addition to that, what we're going to do is we're going to begin, and I hope to get to this today. We'll be working with unordered lists. Okay, this is typical for web design, so that what you do is rather than write lengthy explanation of something, you simply put it in bullet points. And it's much easier for people on the go to read, and especially when you're reading it on a monitor. So that will be the next one that we work on. And again, that's the main one, but again, we add a bit more content to the right, and that's about it. And again, quotes to the left. So it's mainly the article or the main content that we're defining a little bit differently. And then the next one is contact us. So what we find when we get to lesson 10, and we work with images, which is what we started out with this semester. But one thing to notice, again, in the main content is to, in the article here, notice that each of these groups, for example, association management, education, and events, each of these groups, which are divided into section or contained within section tags, have a border, but the border only around the section itself. But notice that it's only applied to the left and the bottom, and each side has a different width. Same color, but different width. They could be different colors. They could be entirely different. But I find it to be a nice design element, a really strong design element that not only is it visually appealing, but it adds and enables the person to read the content much more easily. So that's another important thing to remember, that when you're designing, yeah, it's nice that it looks pretty and it, you think it looks good or cool, but does it really enhance the communication that you're trying, does it help you to communicate what you want to the reader? If not, then maybe not. If it's simply decorative, but maybe that's what your website is about, then that could be appropriate too. But if it doesn't help it, then maybe, stay away from it. But this is a nice design element that I encourage you guys to incorporate in one of your pages. The next one, contact us. No, that is contact us. My mistake. I already had it selected. The last one that we'll get to after break is working with tables. Tables have a long history in web design. Initially, tables were used to provide the architecture that we needed to hold the content of our web pages. And it proved to be very awkward and not very efficient. And that was when CSS, Cascading Style Sheets, was developed. At one point, they were considering actually abandoning tables altogether, but realized that sometimes content we would see in a spreadsheet would, an Excel spreadsheet would be worthwhile applying to your website. And you can see here that they've styled it very nicely. The default tables look really quite ugly. They have really heavy bounding boxes around each of the cells and the rows and the columns. Not, again, very appealing and not very efficient. But the way that they've designed this here, again, is another design element, I think, adds in the readability of the table, and it also enhances it visually. So we'll be working on that probably when we get back. We'll probably be working on contact us when we get back. And today I plan on working on tips. And so I'll leave that up. No, I'm going to close it. If I need to open it up, I will, because they do have the finish files for us. And here's the news finish. I will close that. And I'm leaving the About Us page because I want to review that one more time. That was the page that we completed in lesson 8. It was a child page that was created from the template. But the last thing that we need to do is when we imported the images and the captions, that they are styled correctly. So I want to do that again, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay. So let's see. Let's go ahead and get started with that. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to select the image because I want it to be centered. And I need to make sure that green, whoa. No, before I go any further, one thing that I need you, all of you to remember is that you need to go to, when you start working on lesson 9, go to Site, Manage Sites. Remember that I have multiple sites that I manage, but whatever name you have used for this class, select it, and you want to double click on it to edit its root folder. So the site name remains the same, but the root folder, you'll click on that and make sure that you select lesson 9 as your root folder. And then under Advanced Settings, select Local Info, and for your image folder, make sure that is the folder contained inside lesson 9. If it isn't, it will work fine here, in on your computer, but later when we go to upload it to the host and publish it, it won't work because it will be looking for the images or it will be looking for the styles or whatever in the previous lesson, and it won't be able to find it. So that's the path that will be broken. So I want to make sure that I said that. So just as the constant reminder to everyone. So let's select the image and let's go ahead and make sure that we have green styles selected, not green styles finished, but green styles. And then let's go ahead and make sure that these changes are global. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a new selector. Okay. So what we want it to be, and notice it already knows we want it to be section. So that should be not section, but we want, well, it's close to it. We want sidebar 2. So again, my computer is already slowing down a bit. So let me go ahead here. So we want dot sidebar 2 because we don't want it to apply to any section or the other aside, only to this. So we want sidebar 2, no space, and then a space between that section, figure, image. Okay, so go from general to specific. We want to apply this effect or whatever you want element to the right aside. Contained within the right aside, we want it to apply to the images. Okay, so it's hard to remember sometimes that it's a figure image, but that's why we have the textbook, and that helps us. So now I hit the return key twice to add that, and now we can go ahead and there we go. Now I can go ahead and I can apply the necessary settings. So under margins for this, we want 0 top, 0 bottom, and we want auto left and right. Okay, so we want 0 pixels. So I'm using shorthand, and we want auto. Now I can hit the tab key, and nothing happens, because then the next thing that we want under display is we want to use block. Okay, and notice that all 3 of them now, because they are contained in sidebar 2. Within sidebar 2, they are contained within a section tag. And within that section tag, we have the figure image, and it now is styled the way we want it. The next is that for the quotes in here, okay? Or they're not quote, my apologies, they're figure captions, okay? So with that selected, I can go ahead and select inside that. And I'm going to go ahead and the same thing, make sure I have green style selected, global. I'm going to go ahead and add another one. And again, we want sidebar 2. And we want it to be fig caption. So, but I have to remember to add sidebar 2, space, section, figure, fig caption, okay? Hit the return key. I believe everything is spelled correctly and I have the right. There we go. Okay. So the only thing that we need to do with this now is that margins, because notice, and it bears repeating several times, is notice that when you apply content to any kind of div, and it's contained within a section and it's contained within the sidebar, that, for example, the type that we've added, the body copy, sits right against the edge of the box itself, and that makes it really hard to read. You need a little bit of space around it so that the eye can flow around and through it, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add margins to this, and we want it to be 0 or 5 on the top. So let's make sure that that's 5 pixels. And we want it to be 10 on the right. I would use a minimum of 10 pixels on the left and right. Okay. And we want 15 on the bottom. And we want, again, 10 on the left. And I just hit the tab key when I'm done. Okay. And notice that it should work. Where are we going here? Why didn't that move over? So did I, oh yeah, you know what? I screwed up. And can anybody tell me where I screwed up? It's not working. I forgot to put the dot in front of sidebar 2 because it is a class. I told you it doesn't take much to mess things up. So put a little period in front of it, hit the return key twice. Should catch up now. And there you go. It works nicely. So if you're looking at this, you can see that we have, and as I said, I would use a minimum of 10 pixels of margins or padding to the left and to the right. How much you use top and bottom is totally up to you. Again, I would use the 5. I mean, remember that if you have 5 top and you have 15 bottom, that adds up to 20 pixels. So that would be a bare bones minimum for each of these, but it is adequate. Now I can go ahead and I can save this. And when I save it, remember to go to File. I'm going to go ahead and save as, save it in my root folder. And then I'm going to, once it's saved in there, I'm going to say Save All, so that the style sheet is also saved. Okay, so while that's saving, we're going to move on to our next category here. Come on. There we go. Okay, so I am in lesson 9. I want it to be about us. I will save it and replace the old. Replace, yep, why not? Because I've updated it. And then because I have not saved green styles, notice the little asterisk next to it. That means that has not been saved. So just to go up here and say File, Save All, and that takes care of that for us. If you don't save the styles and you close everything out and you open it back up later, it will just revert to the previous version that we had. So we're ready to create our next one. The next one is going to be for green news, and we have over in our file management here. Okay, I'm going to close the finished ones so I don't get confused. In images, we have several images that we're going to use and that we've already used. Notice the fern for the header. Notice the stripe that we used in the header, but we'll also be using the sprinkler, shopping, and a biking image. In addition to that, we have other resources that are available to us. Later on, we will be using the calendar, the classes, contact us, green news, that's the one, the RTF, that's the one that we're going to be using in just a minute. And then we have quotes, and that will be for all of them, and we'll pick the ones that we want and then make sure that they're properly formatted. And then here's sidebar 2, 09 text, okay? So let's go ahead and start by creating a new child page. Now, what you have to remember, since we've already created a template, we want to create new, okay, a new page. And I want to make sure that it is from our existing template, the one that we created in lesson 8. Now, they have copied the one that we did in lesson 8 and put it in lesson 9. So you're not actually using the one that you created in lesson 8. You're using a copy of it. So each lesson, we're building on the previous lesson. Okay, create new. We have a new child page here. And if you want, we have Meridian Green Start Association down at the bottom. We can go ahead and we can add the title to this. So let's see if we can do that in here. I'm going to bring up the split view a little bit so I can make changes that I want. There are very few things that we can change in the heading because that's not an editable region. But if I go ahead and I move that up, come on. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to scroll up here. And where it says title. Sometimes it's just as easy, it's easier to do it in here where it says add title here. So we're going to go ahead and put in here green news. And remember, when you have a title of a page, which is very important, I was not, didn't ding any of you on your Wix pages if you didn't have titles, or for lesson 7 or 8, but for lesson 9, it will be important. So I'll put in here green news. That will appear in the tab. And also, if you recall, we were building our template. It's best to start it with the name of your website or something that's unique and descriptive about your website so that when search engines, when someone puts in Meridian Green Start or they put in the name of your website, that it will be unique enough that it will bring it up in the rankings when it does the search. So we're going to start with that, and with that H1 tag, we can go ahead and we can just put that in by hand. Okay, so I'm just going to select it, and when it's orange, I'm going to highlight it. And then what I want to do is I'll put in green news. Okay, so far so good. And then we're going to go ahead and add the subheading. And under the subheading here, maybe we don't have a subheading. Yeah, we don't have a subheading. So my mistake. So I'll select it, the H2 tag. It's there as a placeholder, and if you need it, it's great. If you don't, you can delete it because it won't be deleted from the template. It's only being deleted from the child page. So I'll go ahead and I'll delete it. And now we have add content here, which is a paragraph tag. And we put this in by hand. So we're going to say, read the latest. This is equivalent sort of to a subhead. Read the latest echo news and commentary for and about Meridian. Let's see if that catches up with me now. And if it doesn't, then my computer is really slowing down. So I think this is, well, I've done everything else. Yeah, see? It didn't do that. So I'm going to go ahead and read the latest Echo News. Make sure that it catches up. so I don't have to do this again. And commentary. No, see, it's on. You know what? Let me just try and do it inside down here. I've got that selected, so let me highlight it, and I'm just going to do it and add it in the code view and see if that matters. So Echo News. And that's going a little better. Commentary. For and about Meridian. There we go. And notice as I've typed it in code view, it's changing up here. Chances are, because you will not be broadcasting as I am, live streaming in Zoom, this will just go really smoothly. There won't be a lag like you're seeing right now. Okay. So now I'm ready to add the content that they have for us for Green News. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit the return key. Okay. So I've added a new paragraph. And the way we do that is you'll notice that we have Green News RTF, rich text format. And if you recall from the last lesson, what we had to do is we had to switch from live view to design view. And that's what we're going to do in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up the rich text format text. It could be from anywhere. It could be text edit. It could be Microsoft Word, you name it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open that up. There we go. And I'm going to select, and it's already broken down into paragraphs for us and headings. So I'm going to select Command A for select all, Command C for copy, and put it aside. Now what I need to do is, if you recall the other day when I pasted that in live view, all those paragraph breaks get lost. So I have to switch from that to design view. And why is that the case? I haven't a clue. I don't know at all. Now I can go ahead and I can paste it. Notice to make sure the little I-beam cursor is inside there and paste it, and all the headings and paragraph breaks exist. So now we can go back to our live view and we can begin to format it. And one of the first things that we need to do is that we need to take from green start or green buildings with earn more green all the way down to the end here before we hit the next one, like Fireplace Folly, that will be the next one. So what I can do is I can click and drag from here, and I want to highlight all of this. Now, this is one way of doing it, and let's keep going here. Well, you know what? What I can do is I can select from here. Let's go over to the DOM. Again, this is so sluggish. What I'm going to do instead is show you how I would do it. We need to add a section tag that surrounds it. So let's highlight green buildings so I just know where I am in the code view. It's not that I'm going to put it there, but just prior to that, I need to put an opening tag for a section tag. Okay, again, it's just a way of isolating and refining and adding specificity to this. So I'll go ahead and add a section tag, an opening tag for it. Okay, now let's go to the very end of green news, or not green news, but that section before shopping. Let's see, where is it? shopping green, yeah, shopping green saves energy. Just before that, there was another one. Yeah, let's go ahead down here then. So let's find it in here. There's shopping saves energy. So just before that, hit the return key and put in the closing tag. And it will know already what we want. Whoops. I don't want an opening tag. I want a closing tag. There we go. Section. Okay, so this should be wrapped in, if I've done this correctly, in a section tag. And now we need to do the same for the others. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the return key where it says shopping green saves energy. If you could hold on 1 second, please. Please accept my apologies. I'm going to pause the recording. My dog is barking.
Recording in progress.
Okie doke. So back where I was. So let's go ahead and add another section tag for the next group. And now I have to find the end of it. So that was shopping, green news. Now let's find the next one down here. Next one is fireplaces, fun or folly. That is the next group. So just before that, I need to hit the return key and put in the closing tag. And then we'll do that again. And see, it already knows that a section belongs there. It's wrapping it in a section. And then we'll do the same for the next one. Add an opening tag. I just find it easier sometimes to do this in code view. What else do we have down here? Paragraph break, and there we go. Notice that there's an error message on line 84. It's highlighted in red, and that's because it knows I do not have a closing tag for my section. So put in closing tag, and that will go away. There we go. It went away. So we've gone ahead and we've added our content. Now we need to style it. And so one of the things that we can do is that right now, if you look at green buildings earn more, okay, if I go ahead and I highlight that in blue, and then I hit Command T, I get the tag editor. And instead of a paragraph tag, we're going to use an H2 tag. Okay. Now, obviously this needs to be styled. It's way too big for an H2 tag in here. So that will be what we're going to do next. So before I do any more of these, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring up the CSS designer. And we're going to add styling to that so that we can build content inside or that looks appropriate for us. So let's go ahead and they had us wrap tags and stuff, but I'm going to go ahead and create the headings. So let's go ahead and here. This will be for all anything inside a section tag. So whether it's a section tag to the right or left or wherever, any H2 tag will be affected by this. So we're going to go to Green Styles Global, and then I'm going to add a new one here. So this is going to be section space H2. There we go. Okay, so margins top 15 pixels. We want margin bottom 5 pixels. We want the color to be 090, so that's for the text. So we go T for text, we go to color, and we already have the green. I believe that's it, 090. Okay. Then we need to change the font size. So we're gonna, there's the font weight, font family. We're not changing any of those. The font size, we're gonna change it and use percentages. And we want it to be 100, and that's a good sign when that disappears. That means that this new selector that I've created is working. So I want it to be 170%. There we go. And it will make it a more appropriate size. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not 170 pixels. I wanted 170%. So there we go. That's more appropriate. And then we also want the font weight to be bold, so it just stands out a little bit. Okay, so that's been changed. And now that we put everything else in a section, that I can go to each of the headings where it says shopping saves green energy. I can select that. I can hit Command T or Control T to change the tag editor, and we can go ahead, and you can do that in the code view too, but I'm just going to change it to H2. And notice that this will kind of be magically changed as well. So for each one of those. So let's go down to the next. What do we have here? Shopping. Then we have the fireplaces, fireplace, fun or folly. So let's go back in here. I'm going to use the tag editor for that. And let's go ahead and hit Command T and change that to an H2 tag. So where are we at here? I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and I'm going to add the content for the left and the right sides, because this is going, because of my computer is going a little bit slow and sluggish. We're going to go ahead and add the block quotes, which are already styled. We don't need to do anything more than that. But again, we have the content all ready for us. So let's go back to the files. And then that will be it for today. I'm sorry to say, I was hoping to get the first 2 sections done. Okay, so we have the quotes 09. So I'm going to go, that's just text. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. There we go. So this is an HTML file, but it's text. And so this is what we have for green news. Okay, we have 3 quotes. So I'm just going to copy them all, but they're not formatted as quotes. So we have to add that in there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Command C to copy. I'm going to go back to our untitled, which I guess I should have named that. Let's go inside the left aside. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and after all of that, at the very end, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch to Design View. And at the very end, where it says, I'm going to go ahead and hit the right. Okay. I'm just going to highlight all of that block quote area in here. Okay, and I'm going to paste. I'm going to delete it first. Click in here and then hit paste. Now I have all of them. But now what I need to do is I need to wrap them appropriately. So I can select all the text here. Let's go back to live view. So I'm going to highlight everything in here all the way down to John Muir. Come on. And if this continues to cause me problems, then I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go back in the code view. John Muir is a site tag. So I'll put in site, C-I-T-E, and then the closing tag for a site, C-I-T-E. And then the whole thing is going to be wrapped in a block quote. So I'm going to go ahead and down there and put in opening tag for block quote. And then at the very end, after the site is the end of the block quote. So we go ahead and we put the closing tag. And there we have that. So now we need to do the same for each of the others. Okay. So there we go. So we have our block quote for that, and we leave the paragraph tags alone. I don't think we need a space here. And we don't need a space here, but that's okay. You don't need to really clean these up. Okay, so I'm just getting rid of this excess stuff that we have here. So we'll do the same for the other. And then I think we're going to have to call it a day. Let me just leave that alone. You do the same for the others, and let's see about fixing the content on the right. So what I'm going to do with the right side is we have sidebar 2 for 9. This is sidebar 2 on the right. So I'm going to double click on that and let's see what text I have for that. Come on. No, nothing. So I don't see anything in here. We're supposed to have some text to add, and I don't see anything. So let me go outside of that and let's see if there's a different way to open that up. So I'm going to go to the Dreamweaver lessons on my desktop. let's look inside lesson 9. And let's look in resources, sidebar 2 text. I'm going to double click on that. There we go. That's what I want. This is also rich text format. Why that didn't open up before. So I can close this one. Here we go. Here's green news, high-speed rail internet and tracks. Same thing, it's just copying and pasting right now. So I'm going to copy all of that. I'm going to go ahead and highlight it, copy it, come back over to the right side. And like I had done a moment ago, I'm just going to hit the return key. No, wrong place. There we go. Hit the return key. Switch to design view. And then paste. So that it's pasted in the proper format. There we go. Now we can go back to live view. We can put each of the paragraphs in the proper, this is sidebar heading here. Wait a minute. High-speed internet. This needs to be changed to an H2 tag. So now we just make sure that we have the proper properties assigned to each of these. And I can get rid of the placeholder up here. So we can get rid of this one. That's an H2 tag. And the next one, or the content, sidebar here, paragraph, hit the return key, or actually the delete key, and that goes away. I can click in here, highlight it. This is going to be an H2 tag. I believe we've already formatted it, so I'm going to go to Command T, and I'm going to put in H2, hit the return key. Let's see what I get. There we go. So I believe each of these headings needs to be put into, because it's not turning green, it needs to be put into a section tag. So again, we'll do that, see how one works, and then maybe the others will be fine. So section, the opening tag. Now let's go to the end of it. Korean 520, end of this paragraph. Hit the return key. Let's put in a closing tag. And see how that's formatted. Oh, I don't know why it's spelling it with 2 O's. There we go. Notice again how one little mistake, section in the first opening tag had 2 O's and it didn't turn high-speed rail stalled in its tracks to green. So I encourage all of you to be patient. I appreciate you being patient with me and my computer. Now that I'm streaming live, that for whatever reason, I understand that I think Zoom is having issues that they can't keep up. I don't know. I don't know what the root cause is. So anyway, I think we're done for today. Go ahead and complete this section. Try to move on to the next one yourself, and work with unordered lists. And then we will, when we return, we'll work on that as well as the rest of this lesson. This is an important lesson too. Really, I mean, all the lessons were important, but starting from lesson 5, where we built the basic framework, lesson 6, where we actually styled it and created the, an overall look that we were going to establish for our website. It's fine. Then lesson 7 is where we made sure that we add media queries so that it looked good on any size screen. And then lesson 8, we turned that into that basic page into a template, from which now we're adding child pages and adding content in a variety of ways to it. So again, as soon as I log off, all of you, my computer will just speed up like crazy. But I appreciate your patience. I hope you guys have a good break, and I'll see you in a little over a week. Okay, so that's it. I will have this posted very soon. Okay. Yeah, you have a good week too. Bye-bye.